And joining us in studio is Udo Fruza, political analyst, Lucky Tegisho, Transform RSA Deputy President, and Lesego Maris, or Iris rather, from the ANC Youth League, is the NEC member there. Gentlemen, again, good evening to you and thanks for joining us. Let's just start with you, Mr. Iris. In terms of the Western Cape and how far entrenched the divisions have been there, I mean, the party has failed to reclaim power there that it once enjoyed. What else can be done? What are the issues really?
I think the issues of the Western Cape are very deep. Noting that the Western Cape is the only province in the country that is not ANC-led. We've got serious challenges there. The issue of gatekeeping, the issue of factionalism. And if those issues are not addressed, we'll never be able to regain space in the Western Cape. So the ANC must take a firm decision relating to issues of the Western Cape.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's no mutual respect in terms of what the NEC decides, if you see now the backlash in terms of the disbandment of the leadership in the Dala Omar region, clearly there is an issue of who takes command from who.
Yes, you see, unfortunately, internal democracy dictates. We've got protocol in the African National Congress, and that cannot be set aside. All members should have confidence in the processes of the ANC. As we speak, the officials of the ANC are there in the province trying to resolve these issues. So it would be premature for me to give any information that I might not have. But we must, as the Youth League, state it very clearly that the Youth League in the province is suffering because of these divisions.
I mean, we've seen with the Marius Fransman, a sexual accusation or harassment case, he's come out publicly criticizing the ANC for inconsistency in how they apply their very policies in dealing with ill discipline. So, in your opinion, Mr. Fuza, what stance does the NEC have to take? Because clearly they can't dictate how to resolve the issues there.
Well, the stances must be strong and taking leadership because the divisions are very big, to my understanding, within the Western Cape. Marius Fransman is seen as a pro-Zuma man and supportive of Jacob Zuma, the president, and there are forces throughout the party that don't want Zuma to stay on. Beyond now, there's a big community, particularly in the corporate community, who want Zuma to be out, and they'll use everything and everything anywhere all the time to make sure that he's out before December this year. So therefore, they were initially gunning for Fransman with this rape case.
But I mean, can this 105-year glorious movement afford to have issues in a provincial level that is tarnishing the brand and also sowing even further division? Do they have to have a tougher approach towards dealing with the issues there?
No, definitely. But also, we must appreciate the fact that, you see, factionalism in any society is inherently there. You cannot wish it away. What we need to do is to find a way as to how do we manage that. And I can tell you now, without any doubt, what has happened throughout this 105 years that we're talking about. They have been there throughout, but the ANC has managed to really manage those different views because we're a multi-class organization and all of those things. People will always have different views. But coming to the Western Cape, I think with regard to the Western Cape, they are so deep that there is no way that you can be able to leave the provincial executive committee as is. Similarly, with regard to perhaps the regions, you know, what needs to happen then is to say the report that the top 6 is going to get needs to be discussed by the highest decision-making board, which is the NEC, and the NEC must take a decision. And in our view, we think the best decision is really to disband and be able to restart this process because it's playing itself out in relation to, correctly stated by you, you see the factions that are there in relation to your anti-Zuma and your Ramaphosa and all of that. So you have to find a way of dealing with that.
Yeah, but I mean, in a corporate environment, if there's issues of insubordination, gross insubordination for that matter, not following the party organizational culture, you would be dismissed. A process of grievance would be followed and you'd be given your marching orders. But I don't know if it's correct to say that there seems to be a kid-glove approach to certain leaders. Botsang Moiloa, a political analyst, joins us as well in why the ANC fails to resolve these infightings.
Good evening, Cindy, and good evening to the fellow panelists and the viewers. Yeah, I wouldn't bring up in a corporate sector and there's ill discipline. You will have to discipline members of the organization. I don't say the African National Congress shouldn't apply rules and regulations of discipline of the party, but the ruling party is wounded at the moment and is having internal challenges as well as external challenges. It would be appropriate, in my view, that they should approach this not with kids' gloves, but with caution, in a sense that you don't want to sow in divisions in already factions that are already existing in the organization. But I want to agree with my fellow panelists to say the best approach at the moment that the ANC can do with the Western Cape, especially the fact that it's a province that they've been challenges with for over the years, is to disband the whole process.
I'm sorry, but apparently there's something wrong with your mic. We're just going to ask our technician to sort that out and give Mr. Iris a question. Earlier you were saying that these are historical problems that exist within the Western Cape province, and you yourself have very little confidence that the ANC can reclaim power there. So having insider information, what is the best approach? Or maybe who are the problematic candidates there that perhaps need to be redeployed elsewhere?
Yes, I think the ANC should start to structure, firstly, its deployments to the NEC and start to balance it. Because most of the challenges that we are facing here is because of failure of NEC members who are deployed to provinces to actually do their work. Because NEC members have the right to play oversight over these structures. And the problems that the PEC is facing in the Western Cape are not problems that were created yesterday. The magnitude of these problems shows that these problems have been coming over time. And as we have said, it seems like there's no consistency in how we treat leaders that in particularly do things that are anti-ANC.
But I mean, if these factions now imply that you are incapable of delivering services to that region, it then means that your role, in effect, is null and void. You should not be there if you're not able to do the work of the party. So how much longer can this be sustained, Mr. Fruza?
It will be sustained as long as they want it, I believe. Politics is a very strange animal. Politics is something, today you're my friend, tomorrow you're my enemy. It's very, very simple. It's a science. It's a human science and not an emotional thing. And it's important to realize that throwing the cat amongst the pigeons here, is it not good or is it not a relief to share power instead of having power alone? So is it not fitting the ANC in that context to go soft on the Western Cape province instead of going soft somewhere else? So I think there's a bit of a power-sharing debate here that makes life a bit easier, less pressurized for the ANC.
Yeah, no, I understand that it has to be a very pragmatic approach in dealing with the issues of the leadership there. Are they likely now to have a new leadership, or are they going to reinstate the old, as it were? Mr. Iris.
You see, I would not want to take any decision for the NEC, of the ANC. But
in your view, do you think that, I know there's a task team now, but do you think that there needs to be an overhaul of the leadership there?
Yes, definitely within the PEC of the ANC. In my view, that PEC needs to be dissolved. Because that PEC is not really doing justice to the ANC. The integrity of the ANC is seriously questioned within the Western Cape. And that does not give a good view for us as the ANC going to a 2019 election.
Yeah, which in your view are the things that erode confidence further in the PEC? What is it that they're doing?
Firstly, the issue of gatekeeping. Because myself as an NEC member, I'm deployed to the province of the Western Cape. And these challenges are raised by the PEC of the Western Cape within the NEC. Secondly, the functioning of the PEC of the ANC Youth League is very difficult. Because even if they have meetings, sometimes they cannot even use the offices of the ANC within the province. And that is done to marginalize the Youth League. As we know that the Youth League is not as fortunate in that province as in other provinces because it's a DA-led province, it becomes very difficult for that Youth League to survive. So in our view is that we cannot have an ANC that deprives the Youth League an opportunity of breathing life into the ANC.
Mr. Tekisho, I mean, it doesn't make sense that a mother body would deprive the existence or the autonomy of a youth league, which we know can be kingmakers, especially leading up to the 2019 elections, if there is not an intent to render the ANC weaker, or for any other sinister motive besides just their existence or preservation?
Yeah, that's true. That's true that in all other provinces that we know is that the ANC Youth League always have their own offices within the provincial offices of the ANC. So it goes to MKMVA, so it goes to the Youth League, the Women's League and all of that. But you see, yeah, the key issue is that I think when the issue of Fransman started, there was already a serious challenge amongst the PEC members themselves. And that challenge was also exacerbated by the involvement of some within the NEC. I don't want to be particular in relation to that, but I think some within the NEC did take a particular stand that was not really in sync with the views of the broader provincial structure. And as a result of that, these things came up. But what makes it even worse was when the issue now intensified of the lobbying for both the NDZ and the CR17, and people took their stance to say, we support and we support. And the provincial structure had a view, and regional structures also had a view, and then it intensified. And on the basis of that, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to want to combine or want to try and resolve. The only way is for you to really disband and come up with a PTT that will be able to then lead the process towards the December conference.
All right, let's just try your sound again. Hopefully, second time lucky. Botsang Moilwa, political analyst, joining us. Your views in what, especially the organizational renewal or the issues that the ANC has pertaining to the Western Cape, how to deal with that?
Well, Cindy, this is mainly, a challenging time for the ruling party. And it does happen for an organization of 105 years old to be faced with this. During this renewal process, there will be skirmishes like any other organization that happens. There will be people who are disgruntled, people who are not happy about what transpired within the organization for various reasons. But it is how, and I've always said that the ANC have proven for a number of years on how they come out of troubles and resolve this issue. It is more difficult now. The organization is more divided now. There's more people contesting for positions and power, more disgruntled people. So it is how the national leadership is going to respond to this. And there's a national leadership member who has been deployed to the Western Cape, and he has put it very loud and clear that the best thing to do is not to pinpoint fingers at the moment and to come with a team that will actually, even if it's just team that is temporary, that will foresee the organization towards after December. Trying to put a new elective conference or new permanent leadership between now and December, it will actually exacerbate the problem and cause more problem for the organization. That is not going to work. If the people of the Western Cape, they want the ANC to improve their margin towards the 2019 elections, or to try and reclaim the province back as they've stated to do so, then they should forget about these factions now or who leads now. They should focus on having this renewal program, the radical economic transformation program. There's a mining chart and a lot of policies that they have just adopted 2-3 weeks ago that they must focus on.
Yeah.
And that will
but when are you even going more strategic level? We're talking here, Mr. Iris, talking about lack of access to facilities to even conduct their meetings in the Western Cape, ANC, preventing the Youth League from functioning. So this is even beyond factionalism. It seems more personal and vindictive.
But this is exactly what I was saying. If there's crisis in an organization, the national leadership must take over. They must take over that office. That's the first thing they must do. Everybody in that office must vacate it, including the Youth League, if it's causing the problems. They must vacate physically the office. Leadership of ANC from Luchili House must deploy people from national who will go and occupy that office. And they must make sure that it should not include the task team members of the factions, because then they will actually influence leadership from headquarters. They should come as observers and to guide and to build the organization. But this thing of others not being allowed in the office and so forth, the physical part, then they chuck everybody out. You take everybody out, you start on a clean slate so that nobody will remain as a residual that influence whoever will be deployed to the Western Cape.
Yeah, but as disciplined members of the ANC, you hear the NEC President Zuma, January 8 statement, year of unity, year of OR Tambo, and we need to, find each other somehow to ensure that the ANC stays intact. Mr. Iris, it seems to be falling on deaf ears.
Unfortunately, even members of the ANC are human. And there's something we call human behavior, which we cannot control. But we would also appeal to conscience of comrades to do things that are proper. But also adding to my colleague over there, to say the current deployees to the Western Cape should not find expression in any remedial action, because these deployees have been there over time. And if these deployees could not do a proper diagnosis of the conditions of the Western Cape to report to the NEC, that it led to the officials visiting the Western Cape, not on a policy principle of the ANC, but to come and try to deal with issues of divisions is a concern. It's a grave concern.
But see, the problem is...
So you're saying the task team in itself were lame ducks, as it were. I mean, why were they deployed if they don't have the credibility or even competency to do so?
I think the problem... What I'm hearing here at the moment seems that the top 6 are not unified, and that there could be a split between the top 6. So therefore they have a sitting duck situation regarding the Western Cape province. And because it works against some people, it works for some people. So therefore, that deep rift within the top 6 needs to be addressed first before they can actually address the Western Cape province or anybody else. And this is very difficult.
I think we need to correct that narrative. It's not what we said. We are saying that the officials has went now. We must remember it's the first time that the officials are going to the Western Cape. We are saying those who are deployed from the NEC members who are deployed to the Western Cape over time could not properly diagnose these problems. That's why this problem escalated to the attention of the officials. So it must be very clear that we must give the officials of the ANC their time. Even if there's contestation, we need to clear it's very normal to contest in the ANC. It's very normal to have different views in terms of the ANC leadership, upcoming elections. So therefore, we need not say or paint a narrative that the officials of the ANC are incompetent.
Okay.
No, but let me just follow up on that. I think agreeing with Lesego is that perhaps the problem is, as correctly diagnosed by him, that perhaps the people that have been deployed there might be the challenge. But it boils down to the very same fact that these guys has also taken a decision in relation to who to support. You know, what they do, they then use this power of them that they have to say, we want to push a particular program to get support from the regions and the branches. So what they do then, they begin to sideline others, close the door and all of that. So it's created by that. But what we are saying is, if you want to resolve this issue, you have to clean, as correctly stated, you have to take out those that have been deployed.
Institute disciplinary action so that the message is loud and clear. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, it must happen, but at the same time,
creating a hostile environment.
It must happen, but at the same time, you remove them, because they are the ones that are causing all of those things. But I agree with you.
And Cindy, the timing is also very critical in an organization when you have crisis. I wouldn't rush to institute disciplinary processes at a moment when you have had deployees who are being seen to have been divided. You put that aside and you let the process run its own course, but gradually. What the ANC needs to do, and I'm glad that there's a leader from them who's saying and acknowledging that what has been part of the challenge. Because even if you deploy people from the top 6 or the NEC, some people may complain to say they came to us divided, they came to us talking different languages. It is the conscience, and I'm glad you mentioned, the conscience of ANC members and leaders in the Western Cape should say to them, let us shut the doors down and focus on rebuilding this organization and have a temporary leadership that will take us forward as an organization. Unless they are prepared to go and destroy the organization, you know, that it will not even have the margin that it has at the moment come 2019. And we all know that it's a matter of time. It is between now and December. All these things are normal towards an elective conference. It's between now and December. After December, you will see things stabilizing.
Very briefly, we just need to give Mr. Dixon an opportunity.
Yeah. And to assess this thing, the ANC is not a kangaroo court. It's not a kangaroo court. So if we speak about disciplinary actions, they must be informed by substantial evidence of what exactly they've been doing before they are charged.
Okay. All right, we're going to give the last word to Mr. Oliver Dixon, a social political analyst joining us via live broadcast. Good evening to you. Is there leadership paralysis, you think, in the Western Cape? Or maybe should the ANC focus its efforts on the municipalities and provinces that it's running?
Look, this problem is not unique to the Western Cape. There's a leadership paralysis all over the country. It just shows its cracks.
All over the country. It just shows its cracks more in the Western Cape. And it's natural because the Western Cape is the province that has to work the hardest to regain grounds because they've lost the province a while back to the Democratic Alliance. And so there's a lot of finger pointing and a lot of blame shifting in terms of who's responsible for having, lost the province and, that were they able to make any sort of recovery under the leadership of Comrade Marius. And these are conversations that are ongoing. But, I think Mr. Miller was correct there, that this is a very normal sort of thing to happen before conference, specifically elective conferences, where, factional battles become so erosive that it's always about whose faction can play the dirtiest politics. And, it resumes to normality after the elective conference. But particularly in this particular instance, I think what needs to happen here is that there needs to be an honest sit down between different branches, between the National Working Committee and the Provincial Executive Committee in the Western Cape. And they need to, and under the leadership of Gwede Mantashe, specifically in that instance, they need to decide what the direction of the politics of the province ought to be, what the KPIs of the province ought to be, and they need to work in the direction of that, regardless of whose faction is supporting who. But unfortunately, these things are very difficult to do in these sort of periods because, one camp is fighting for Nkosazana to make it, one camp is fighting for Cyril to make it, and in particular in this instance is that the Western Cape, specifically Cape Town, has been pro-Nkosazana throughout the rhetoric and narratives they've been pushing, while the other 5 regions in the province has been pro-Cyril. But because 5 of those 6 regions are now is speaking against the disbandment of what's happening over there, it can give the Cape Town region an opportunity specifically to garner support in terms of their candidate, because now they have a moral compass in order to fight for the politics in that instance. So what happens there is that they can garner the support of the other 5 regions in support of Nkosazana Dlamini. So, these sort of nuances needs to be taken into consideration. But again, the KPIs of what the province needs to do in short term and in long term needs to be discussed very clearly, because I think that's the sort of administrative problems that exist within the Western Cape.
All right, Oliver Dixon, social political analyst, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pity that it had to be brief, but just very quickly, Mr. Iris, in terms of the that blueprint, or rather master plan, in what the province can deliver to the people of the Western Cape, does the ANC in the Western Province have that plan, at least, to execute service delivery, etc.?
Look, it's going to be very difficult for the ANC to speak on service delivery, because we know that the administration is DA-led. So for us, it would be very wrong to even suggest that the ANC must lead service delivery, because service delivery at some point is also led at the administrative level. And the DA is controlling the budget. And the DA there is going to do anything in his power to make sure that the ANC does not see the light of day, even if the ANC can come up with good initiatives. So it's upon branches of the ANC to mobilize people to vote for the ANC, and get the province back. But if they cannot get that province back by a vote, there's no way the ANC can be speaking about service delivery in the province.
10 seconds, please.
I'm glad he also mentioned that one of my continued remarks was going to be, during the time of crisis and infighting, that's where the opposition will come in and take advantage of the infighting. The ANC must be very wary that, there may be infiltration from the opposition during this time. People will be given money and be bought and so forth. So even to reconcile may even become more difficult because of infiltration from opposition parties.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks indeed to our esteemed panelists. I'm afraid we don't have the luxury of time. We'll have to take a quick ad break, and we'll be back just after this.